Did you know that many times a franchise resale can actually make you more money and cost you less than building a new franchise? This is a dirty little secret that franchise consultants do not tell you, they won't tell you, and I'm gonna expose that little secret here in this video and explain to you why that's the case, so make sure that you stick around. I mean, imagine taking out a loan, investing $200,000 into a franchise location that you have to build from scratch, and you could have bought a similar type of business for $200,000 that's already making $60,000 or $70,000 a year. Now, if you're new here, my name is Tariq Johnson. I built a multi-million-dollar franchise business owning juice bars with locations in California and in Florida. And in this video, I'm gonna explain to you the pros and cons to buying a franchise resale. I'm gonna talk about why it's such a dirty little secret in the franchise and franchise consulting space and why people try to keep it hidden from you and don't tell you about it. And then I'm also gonna show you a resource where you can start going and looking at franchise resales so you are educated and you can have all the information that you need in order to make a decision or just do your research. By the way, I am so excited. We've had over 500 people download my free 7-step blueprint to business profits in 60 days. It shows you step by step how you can create and make any business profitable in any industry, whether a franchise, whether a regular business. My wife and I use this exact same blueprint when we opened up our first franchise from scratch and started generating over $30,000 in sales on their second month in business and started to become profitable less than 2 months open. So make sure that you head to my website and download it. It's tariqjohnson.com, or you can click the link in the description below. It's my gift to you. It's completely free. There are no gimmicks, and you can use that blueprint to get started in transitioning from wherever you are now to creating the business that you've always wanted. Also, make sure to add me on Facebook and follow me on social media. I share a lot more insider secrets and kind of what it looks like in my business from a day-to-day basis. So I'll leave a link below to make sure that you connect with me on Facebook. All right, lastly, we're gonna jump into the video here, but just make sure you subscribe to the channel below if you haven't subscribed already. I did my first Q&A here on Facebook that was live, where you guys got to ask me questions live about your business, your challenges, and any of the top business and franchise questions that you have. And so in order for you to get alerted, you need to be subscribed. You can hop on and interact with me live and get your top questions answered, custom and unique to your situation. So make sure you subscribe. Also, if you hit the little like button below, it tells the YouTube algorithm to show this video to more and more people. So make sure you subscribe and hit the little like button below. All right, so when you buy a franchise resale, you typically buy it for a multiple of its earnings. I'll explain to you what that means in just a second. But here's the big benefit to buying a franchise resale is that you're buying a business that's already making money. Typically, there's an asterisk there. But ideally, you're buying a business that's already cash flowing. And you're not wondering, how long is it gonna take before I start making money? I mean, I have a lot of clients that I coach and people that I talk to, just like yourself, that wind up reaching out to me from watching my YouTube channel. And for a lot of them, they feel nervous about starting a brand new franchise and making that transition from having a secure job and benefits to then opening up a new franchise where they just don't know how long it's gonna take to get it up and running, and that whole process in the beginning of having to leave their job and the training process and having no income come in during that period. So that is one of the main benefits of buying a resale franchise. I mean, think about it. When you buy a franchise resale, you have existing clients, you have existing employees, you already have a location, you have a lease in place, you've got the systems in place. You've got 80% of the uncertainty actually figured out for you. You don't have to deal with finding a location, you don't have to deal with signing a lease, you don't have to deal with hiring all new employees, and you don't have to deal with opening a business from scratch that's starting at $0. Now, this is something that I help a lot of my one-on-one clients with that work with me. I actually help them go out and look at different existing franchise resale opportunities or existing businesses that are for sale. I help them research what are the right industries that make sense in their area, what are the businesses for sale, how much money those businesses are making, how to actually do research, look at the financial statements and be able to understand what the financial statements are saying. How much money is the business making? What's the opportunity to grow the business? And then I help them negotiate the deal along the way. So if you have any questions about the franchise resale process, send me an email at info@tariqjohnson.com. And also, if you have any just general questions, drop me a comment below about your general franchise resale questions or general franchise or business questions at all. I respond personally to every single comment, and a lot of the times, whatever question that you have is a question that someone else has, and it winds up benefiting them, and they get to learn as well. So explaining what I mentioned before in the video about resales typically sell for a multiple of earnings, this is what this means. So if a business is selling for 3 times earnings and the business is earning $50,000, then you take 3, multiply it by the $50,000, the business would be selling for $150,000. Does that make sense? Now, I can probably guess your next question, which is, well, what determines how many times earnings a business sells for? That's a great question. The answer to that is it depends. It depends on a lot of different factors, and there are companies and individuals that specialize in valuing businesses, and there's a couple of different methods or ways to value a business. And so here's some of the things that factor into that. How much time is the owner actually spending in the business? What's the location of the business? What's the brand of the business or franchise? I mean, generally speaking, a McDonald's or a Five Guys or a really well-known brand will probably sell for a higher multiple than a brand that's only been around a few years and that people don't really know a lot about. And then if the business has already a strong management team, leadership team, or staff in place where the business is pretty turnkey and it's been established for a long period of time, these are all different things that can affect how much the business is priced at and what the multiple is. The industry that the business is in will also affect the multiple and how much it sells for. So buying an existing business, it's really important that you have guidance and that you have a professional who's guiding you throughout that process, because you could have a business that's valued at 4 times earnings and that's selling for, let's say, in that example, it's earning $50,000, it's selling for $200,000, but the business is really probably should only be worth about $125,000. And so having a professional help you figure out and identify what's the business really worth and what's the opportunity, because the numbers tell a story when you're looking at the financials. And again, this is why it's so key to work with a professional and make sure that you have someone guiding you along the process. Because think about it, unless you have been a licensed realtor, if you're buying a house, you're going to use a realtor, and the realtor is going to help you find the house because they have access and they pay for the systems to be able to find the house, even though you can look on Zillow and all these different places. You're going to get taken more seriously when your realtor reaches out than if you reach out. And then you got all the paperwork and the contracts and the negotiating, all the steps along the way. Buying a business is like that, but even more, where you have to have so much more information because there's so many more variables than buying a house. And a little bit later in this video, I'm going to share a resource with you, a totally free resource that you can go to. It's actually a website. Later in this video, I'm going to share a website that you can go to so you can start finding franchise resales. Now, this is just one of many websites that you can go to. You can Google franchise resales and stumble across a lot of different websites. Just be careful, because if you start entering your information, people are going to start sending you a lot of stuff and hounding you. So make sure you wait to put in your information until you've actually secured a professional that you're working with. Again, if you want my help, great, I'm happy to help you. But if you use a different professional, that's great too. Just make sure you get professional help if you're looking at the franchise resale process. Now, what are some of the cons about buying an existing franchise location? Here's a really big one. is that the franchise that you're buying could be losing money. So one of the reasons the franchise could be actually selling is because the business isn't doing well, it's not profitable, it's not making money. So if you, let's say, buy a business for $100,000, which, and let's say you think that's a pretty good deal based on the opportunity and the assets, maybe one of those new franchises cost $300,000 to get open. But here's the thing, if that business is losing, let's say $5,000 a month, and it takes 6 months to get the business turned around or even breaking even, well, you paid the $100,000 plus 6 months times $5,000 a month is $30,000. So you've actually paid $130,000 for the business. So you need to put yourself in a position where you can manage that and handle that process. That's not saying that all businesses are like that. And a lot of times there are a lot of really quality businesses for sale that are for resale. It's funny when I talk to people, they go, well, why would a business that's making money sell? Well, why would someone sell a house that is a great house? Why would someone sell a car that's a new car? People have different reasons. Sometimes health is an issue. They're retiring. Maybe they've just been really passive in the business and they don't really work in the business about 1 day a week or so, and they just don't want to, the business isn't growing because they're not doing much and they're lazy. Maybe they suck at running a business. Like maybe they're just not good at it. Maybe the business is losing money, but you're going to do a much better job in running the business. So this is why it's so important to have a professional guiding you along the process, because you could just have an owner that's a really bad owner, or they're just not putting the effort in the business, and once you go in and do that, you can turn around. So you have to identify at that point what makes sense in terms of a purchase price to buy that business, and then project out and think about, if the business is losing money, how long is it going to take you to get it profitable? Make sure you're in a financial position to be able to handle that period of time until it becomes profitable or break even. Another potential downside to buying an existing business is that the business is very dependent on the existing owner. So as an example, if the owner has been out there in the community building relationships, and that's why the business has been so successful, will the business continue to be as successful once you take over? Will you be able to successfully take over those relationships and build that rapport and that connection with your clients? So it's something to consider. You know, maybe that franchise owner or that business owner was like stellar at running their business, and they were in the business every single day working 8 to 10 hours a day, and that's why they're selling, because they're exhausted and they want to break and they don't want to deal with it anymore. But your plan is to buy the business, still work at your full-time job, and then run the business part-time. Well, in that situation, you've got to understand that you're probably not going to make as much as the other owner was making, because you're going to have to hire someone to fill that spot. So these are all the different variables, and I don't want to make this video too complicated. I feel like I'm starting to go down the rabbit hole, but there's so many nuances to this, and I don't want that to detract from the fact that franchise resales are a really great opportunity. It's actually incredibly fun to go through that process of looking at franchise resales and analyzing it and doing the research. You can learn so much about business just by going through that process. And, you know, again, this brings me back to make sure you're following me on Facebook, make sure you're subscribed, because an idea that I have, and I'm just kind of sharing this with you guys now, is to actually start doing some live on Facebook and on YouTube, where I actually go on the website and I show you different businesses for sale. We go through the description, what the scenario is, how much the business is making, and we dive into the business live. And maybe I do it with you. So maybe as an example, you say, hey, I want to spend this amount of money. I live in this area. And then we look at businesses together and analyze it. And I do that live so other people can see and learn from it. So if you want to see me do that, make sure you drop a comment below and let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in. And then make sure that you're following here on YouTube as well as on Facebook, because again, I'm going to start doing a lot more lives where you can interact with me and really go through this process together. Now, the last part about buying a franchise resale or any sort of business resale is that the numbers could not be accurate. You know, it's possible that the owner did their own books, they did a really bad job of it. It's possible they used some of their personal funds, some of their business funds, and all of the expenses may not be represented. So, which is why it's so important that when you're putting in the offer, you have certain contingencies in place. You have contingencies to be able to review the financial information, to be able to review the tax returns, to be able to review their bank statements, so you have ways to validate the information and make sure that it is confirmed. Now, here's the reason why. Now, here's what I'm exposing, and the reason why most franchise consultants will never show you existing resale locations, because 99% of franchise consultants, now I just made that statistic up, but I would say about 9 out of 10, if not more, franchise consultants, they get paid a fee from the franchisor. So when they connect you to the franchisor for you to buy a new franchise, that's how they get paid. So if they showed you an existing business or existing franchise resale that they don't have an agreement with and a relationship with where they get paid a commission, they're not going to show it to you. Like, ding, ding, ding. Imagine if you're going to buy a house and your real estate agent only had access to new builds. They could only sell you new construction homes because that's all they got paid a commission on. Do you really believe that if your realtor wasn't going to make a commission, that they would show you a house that they weren't going to make a commission on? I mean, you might get one or two that they have such a heart, they want to help you. They might, but 98% of people are not going to. And so a lot of you are being led to make a major life change and decision by only seeing what 20% of what's out there. And this is one of the things that I help my clients with, is provide this unbiased advice to show them that there's all these different things out there, and it's about what's best for your situation. I mean, imagine taking out a loan, investing $200,000 into a franchise location that you have to build from scratch, and you could have bought a similar type of business for $200,000 that's already making $60,000 or $70,000 a year. Imagine how much easier that makes the transition for you. What sort of pressure that takes off in making that decision and being able to support your family. So it's really important, and that's not to say that new franchise locations don't make sense. My first franchise location was a new franchise location, and I'll tell you quite frankly, my new franchise location made a lot more money than my existing franchise location did. And it had nothing to do with it necessarily being new or existing, but we opened that one up from scratch. It was a heck of a lot more expensive to open up the new franchise location, so there are benefits to it, and new franchise locations can do really well. Here's my point, is that you need to be able to make an educated decision. You need to be able to see the new and the existing and be able to weigh the pros and cons and make a decision that's best for you without someone limiting your view and only being able to see the new locations. Here's the great resource for you that I promised I would share. It's bizbuysell.com. Some of you may have heard of this website. If you didn't, bizbuysell, I'll put it up here, is one of the most popular business websites. They show not only new franchises for sale, but existing franchises for sale and existing businesses. Now, go and look in your area, type in your zip code or the area that you're in, and then enter your criteria and start looking at different businesses. If you want my help and guidance, send me an email at info@tariqjohnson.com. I'm happy to help you and guide you along the process and represent you in finding what the right opportunity is for you. And again, be careful before you start putting all your information in there, because what happens is that a lot of times these guys hound you, and then you'll get overwhelmed and your phone will start blowing up. But it's important that you have someone that's representing you during that transaction. The other thing is just Google. Just Google franchise resale. There's a bunch of websites that wind up popping up that have different opportunities. Now, drop me a question below if you have any questions on this video. Here's what's exciting. I'm in the process of building a full service business and franchise company that is all about helping people transition from what they're doing now to what it is that they want to do, which is to be an entrepreneur and a business owner. So whether that means starting a business on your own and a side hustle and doing some consulting so that you can build up the assets and income to afford a franchise, or if you just want to build up an income stream part-time, if you want to buy a new franchise, buy an existing franchise, figure out the funding. It'll be a full service business that walks you through step by step from where you are now, where you want to go, and figuring out the right opportunity that makes sense and the right vehicle that makes sense for you to accomplish your dream of being a business owner and creating financial freedom and financial stability and having time and being able to travel and finally be able to live the life that you wanted. And you know, one of the reasons that I started doing this is because I wanted people to be able to have access to all the information and options that are out there, and I'm excited to share that with you. So make sure you subscribe, go to my website, download my 7-step blueprint to business profits in 60 days. Make sure you like this video, and I will see you on the next one.